You spot a roach or an ant crawling across your counter, and your first instinct is to grab whatever's closest: a shoe, a paper towel, maybe a can of spray you bought months ago that barely has anything left in it. Here's what almost nobody realizes is already sitting under their sink, doing the exact same job for a fraction of the cost. With nothing in it you'd be nervous about spraying near a kitchen counter or a kid's toy. Tonight I'm going to show you the 2-ingredient spray that kills soft-bodied insects on contact, exactly why it works at a biological level, which bugs it genuinely won't touch no matter how much you spray, and the one mistake that makes people think this doesn't work when it actually does. Let's get into it. If you're new here, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me which bug is the most common one showing up in your home right now. Here's the actual biology behind why this works, and it's genuinely fascinating once you understand it. Most small, soft-bodied insects, aphids, ants, roaches, gnats, are covered in a thin waxy layer over their exoskeleton. That wax isn't decoration, it's their entire water retention system. It's the only thing standing between the moisture inside their body and the dry air outside. Dish soap is specifically engineered to break down fats, oils, and waxes. That's literally what it does to grease on your dishes every single day. When it contacts an insect directly, it dissolves that same protective waxy layer almost instantly, and once that layer is gone, the insect's internal fluids start evaporating uncontrollably. It doesn't get poisoned in the traditional sense, it essentially dries out from the inside within minutes of contact. There's a second mechanism working alongside that one. Insects breathe through tiny openings along their body called spiracles, not through a mouth or nose the way we do. Soap dramatically reduces the surface tension of water, and that reduced surface tension can let liquid seep directly into those spiracles, partially blocking oxygen exchange. So you've actually got two separate lethal mechanisms happening at once: the wax dissolving away and causing dehydration, and the soap potentially interfering with how the insect breathes. That combination is exactly why this kills on contact rather than needing hours to take effect. Here's the recipe, and it genuinely costs under $2 to make. Mix 1 part dish soap to about 3 parts water in a spray bottle. Roughly 2 tablespoons of dish soap per 2 cups of water works well for most household uses. Shake it gently to combine and spray it directly onto whatever insect you're targeting until it's thoroughly wet. That's the entire recipe. If you want an added layer of scent and a mild extra deterrent, a few drops of peppermint essential oil mixed in gives the spray a stronger smell many insects find unpleasant to be near in the first place, though the soap itself is doing the actual killing regardless of whether you add it. Now here's the part I want to be completely straight with you about, because this is exactly where people get frustrated and assume the whole thing doesn't work. This spray is only effective against soft-bodied insects with a thin, accessible exoskeleton. Ants, aphids, gnats, and most small soft-bodied pests are genuinely vulnerable to it. Beetles, however, along with anything with a thick, hard shell, are largely unaffected, since their cuticle is simply too dense and waxy for the soap to meaningfully break down on contact. Wasps and bees have a similarly tough exterior and are also generally resistant to this method. If you're dealing with a beetle infestation or trying to use this on a wasp nest expecting the same fast kill you'd see on an ant, you're going to be disappointed, and that's not the spray failing. That's just outside what soap can physically do to an insect built that differently. Here's the mistake that trips up almost everyone who tries this and concludes it's ineffective. This spray has zero residual effect. Once it dries on a surface, it stops working completely, unlike a commercial insecticide that stays chemically active on a surface for days or weeks after you spray it. That means you need direct, thorough contact while the spray is still wet. A light misting from a distance that only catches part of the insect's body won't be enough, and spraying a surface preemptively where a bug might walk later does essentially nothing once it's dry. This is a contact kill, not a lingering barrier, and treating it like the second thing is exactly why people end up saying it didn't work when really they just weren't using it the way it's designed to be used. Here's why this genuinely matters more than people think if you're renting or living with kids and pets around. Commercial bug sprays often leave a chemical residue and a strong smell that can linger in carpet or on countertops for hours, sometimes days, which isn't something you necessarily want sitting in a space with a toddler crawling around or a dog that likes to sniff everything at floor level. This spray is just soap and water. It doesn't leave a toxic residue behind, and there's no lingering chemical smell to air out afterward. If you're dealing with a stray ant or roach on a kitchen counter you're about to prep food on, that's a genuinely meaningful difference. One caution worth knowing if you've got cats specifically, and this applies to the essential oil addition, not the base soap and water recipe. Peppermint oil and many other essential oils can be genuinely harmful to cats whose bodies process certain plant compounds very differently than dogs or humans do. If you've got a cat in the house, skip the essential oil addition entirely and stick with the plain soap and water version, which is the part actually doing the killing anyway. The oil was always just a scent booster, never the active ingredient. Here's the complete system, start to finish. 2 tablespoons of dish soap to 2 cups of water in a spray bottle, shaken to combine. Spray directly and thoroughly onto soft-bodied insects, ants, roaches, gnats, aphids, while making sure full contact happens before it has a chance to dry. Skip the essential oil addition if you've got a cat in the house. Understand this is a direct contact kill with no lasting residue, meaning it needs to be reapplied fresh each time rather than sprayed preventively somewhere in advance. 2 honest notes before you go. First, if you're using this on houseplants to deal with aphids or similar pests, test it on a small section of leaf first and wait a day before treating the whole plant, since some plants are sensitive to soap and can show leaf damage with repeated spraying, and spraying during the hottest part of the day specifically can cause the soap residue to scorch leaves under direct sun. Second, if you're dealing with a genuinely large infestation of hard-shelled insects, this isn't the right tool for that job at all, and reaching for a targeted product or professional pest control makes more sense than repeatedly spraying something that biologically can't touch that particular pest. Hit like if you're keeping a bottle of this by your sink from now on. Drop a comment telling me if you've got beetles or something soap won't touch. I want to know what everyone's actually up against. Share this with someone who's still buying overpriced spray cans for something soap and water already handles. Click the next video for more, subscribe if you haven't. Take care, I'll see you in the next one.